Hello, my name is Katie Senor, certified financial planner and enrolled agent. And in this video, we're going to talk about home office deduction. Let's get going. First, let's talk about who qualifies for home office deduction. If you're a self-employed taxpayer, so you're an independent contractor, freelancer, or gig worker, you may be qualified for home office deduction. Because of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, if you're an employee and you receive W-2 exclusively from an employer, you're not eligible for this deduction, even if you currently work remotely from home. Let's dive into details.
Taxes stressing you out? Don't worry, 1-800-ACCOUNTANT is here. Expert help, affordable rates? Call 1-800-ACCOUNTANT today and leave the headaches to the tax pros. Click the link below.
Let's go to my whiteboard and go through important highlights. First, you cannot use hotel or other temporary lodging to write off your home office expenses. If you have a spare bedroom with a guest bed and a dresser on one side and desk with a computer on the other, this would not qualify as home office. Your home office doesn't have to be used throughout the year. If you only work from home a few months of the year, you can still deduct your home office expenses. You cannot use home office expense if you have a conventional office space. If you rent an office space in the office building, for example, you can only claim that designated office. You cannot claim home office expense in the same tax year. What are the options for taking home office deduction? First, you have actual method, and you also have a simplified method. Let's start with simplified method first. With simplified or safe harbor home office deduction, the IRS allows you to deduct $5 per square foot of home office for your business, up to 300 square feet maximum deduction for the total of $1,500 per year. For this, you just have to calculate the square footage of your office. But if you would like to take full advantage of home office deduction, you might have to do some extra work and use what is called actual method. For use of actual method, you will need calculate the percentage of your home office related expenses. For example, say your full house or an apartment is 2,500 square feet, and you use only 400 square feet of your designated space for your home office. So it is 16% of your full house space. So it means you can only deduct 16% of your rent, utilities, insurance, and any other expenses, which are not direct expenses. They're indirect expenses. So let's go over direct and indirect expenses.
Taxes stressing you out? Don't worry, 1-800-ACCOUNTANT is here. Expert help, affordable rates? Call 1-800-ACCOUNTANT today and leave the headaches to the tax pros. Click the link below.
Rent, utilities, insurance, mortgage interest, those are indirect expenses. For direct expenses for your home office, for example, if you have designated room in your house and you painted the walls in that room and you spend money on paint, or say you put a new wallpaper, that will be direct expense. you can deduct the whole amount because it's specifically done in this designated office space. Using actual method will likely result in a larger tax deduction for the right person than the simplified method. If you have small office space, maybe simplified method is the way to go. But if you have a large office or maybe using the full garage for your business, for example, you're storing your inventory, and actual method in this example will be beneficial to use compared to simplified method. Let's talk about what expenses you can write off under actual method. Rent, if you're renting your house or an apartment. Your property taxes, your mortgage interest. Don't forget about home depreciation. That is for homeowner, so you can write off a percentage of your home use cost. Next, utilities. That will be your electricity, your gas, water, trash removal, and internet. Also, you can write off your phone expense if you have, for example, a landline. If you have a cell phone, that will be deductible directly on your Schedule C. Any miscellaneous essential. So anything that you will need to use in your conventional office space, like soap, cleaning supplies, or even toilet paper, you will be able to write off. If you're hiring cleaning service, you can write off, this is tax deductible. If you did some home repairs and maintenance, you fixed your roof, you installed new windows, again, you can't deduct the full amount, but you still can deduct the percentage, like in our example is that 16% of your designated office space. Also, if you have security system service, for example, like ADT, you can deduct those services. A lot of people confused about landscaping services. Generally, you cannot write off your landscaping services, services of a gardener. But for example, if you're a landscaper and you use your landscaping as an example for your clients of what your landscaping project may look like, that will be deductible as your home office expense. Home office expenses under actual method will be reported on Form 8829, which called expenses for business use of your home. And you will file this Form 8829 along with your Schedule C when you file your Federal Form 1040. If you'll see here, you will have information regarding square footage. So it will be total square footage of your house, the space designated for your home office with the percentage on line 3. And that 16% will be applicable to all your indirect expenses, as you see here. So we have mortgage, real estate taxes, and in this example, we don't have any direct expenses. So you combine all your indirect expenses and you multiply it by your percentage of home office space. And this will be the amount how much you can deduct. It's your home office deduction on your Schedule C on your tax return. The most common mistakes I see on people's tax returns, it's when both conventional office space and home office deduction claimed on the same tax return, which is incorrect. Another mistake that I see quite often when both spouses use the same office space in the house and they file 2 Schedule Cs. So you can claim only one home office expense on the tax return because both spouses married filing jointly it's one tax return. It's the same office space per tax return. You cannot claim the same office on Schedule C1 for one spouse and Schedule C2 for the other spouse. You can just claim it on one if it's the same office space. If you're not sure which method to use, actual or simplified method, you should basically do a general calculation and see if you're better off using a simplified method or actual. As I said earlier, if your office space is very small, you're probably better off using a simplified method because it requires the least amount of work. But if you have a large office or you're using a separate space like a garage, you will be better off going with actual method. Thank you for watching. Bye.